Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host here, Chantele Francis, with my lovely co-host. We have...
Phil Gourlay. How we doing, Chantele?
I'm doing great, and you know why. Yes. How are you
I
doing?
bet you're feeling amazing right now because you are leading this pool already.
Absolutely feeling amazing leading this pool. Well, everybody that's watching, if this is your first time on Reality Realness, well then welcome. I'm so happy that you decided to join this conversation. But if you haven't done so already, please just take that 1 second to click that subscribe button so we can have more people joining in on the fun. So we might as well just get right to it. We're talking about the premiere episode of season 32 of The Amazing Race. Now, this season was filmed 2 years ago. So these people have been sitting on, their excitement of being part of this race for 2 years. How would you have handled this, and how would you have felt now that it was finally airing?
Well, I think I would have gone completely insane if I had to wait 2 years. How do you not tell your family how you did it? I mean, they'd be all over you for 2 years. But I'm so thrilled. I actually enjoyed a little bit of a break from the race. This was a great first episode. I enjoyed it a lot. The energy was so much fun. I enjoyed it.
I definitely enjoyed it as well. And it was kind of like, I felt that all the tasks were not too crazy difficult that people wouldn't be able to do them. And so it really allowed us, in my opinion, to see just how people are going to be able to interact in their team environment, because it wasn't like something super hard. Like, everybody could pretty much do all the tasks if they were, a competent person. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And so, I was happy to see that nobody was like completely like out of the running for doing well this episode. So I really like that.
I'm excited to see also if the show is going to be it felt like it was edited really well, that episode.
Well,
like
they've had 2
whoever
years.
did the editing for that, it felt a little bit different than the last couple of years. Like, there was something about it that felt different. So
I think
it's good.
A, they had 2 years to edit it, so they better get it right. And B, I think that because the last few seasons have all been about people that we know, they didn't have to spend we didn't have to spend as much time getting to know the dynamics between people. And I think that might have played a little part into what they wanted to showcase, because we had to get to know these people. But, with all these reality TV superstars or the YouTubers or whatever, like, we kind of have an idea of mostly who they are. And so they can show different elements of the show. So I am happy that we're just getting back to the race. The Amazing Race has always been one of my favorite shows. Obviously started around the time, I think 2001 is when it started. So, I was already a super fan of Big Brother and Survivor at this point. And I just was like, this is like the best show ever. And it's for $1 million. Like, I think that I do think that it's the best reality game show there is out there.
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of people associate my game that I do with that. They think, oh, Survivor must be his favorite show. Amazing Race is my favorite show. I've done some in Ontario for charities, and that I'd love to be on the real one. I've actually this week been nostalgic. I've been looking back at the first season of Amazing Race and just being like, look where we've come from. It was so amazing. And it still feels good watching that. Like, I mean, it's one of those ones where you could pick any season and you just watch it through and you're like, yeah, this is really cool. So,
and I think also what I really like
we
about
should
it,
talk.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say,
like, we should actually just let people know.
Yeah, we got this. We got this. Okay, I'll say one thing first, and then we'll get to what you have to say. So, one thing though that I really like about The Amazing Race is that it doesn't need all these bells and whistles. Yes, it's probably very expensive to film and have these camera crews following each team of 2 around and go to different countries. Like, it probably is quite expensive, but like, the challenges are just so creative and interesting, and learning about the cultures, and like, it's just so multifaceted in all the stimulus that you get from this show, and it's for a lot of freaking money. Like, it's just all around great. So, getting to what you want to talk about, hit it, Phil. Go for it.
Well, we the last episode we asked the viewers to vote in a poll just to let us know initial feelings before the show aired. What team were they rooting for, and which team did they think would win? And do you have any guesses on to who you think they are rooting for, and who do they think will win?
I think my number one draft pick is going to be what resonates with most people. Because I actually started looking after we did our assessment video. I'm actually even happier with some of my picks because I saw that a lot of my teams were doing a lot of homework. And that's something that I was talking about. I was like, if I'm going on the Amazing Race, I'm going to learn a bunch of different things that I think will be useful to me in the race. And some of these people really did. And so I'm talking about the McKibben brothers. I think that, with on their YouTube, they already kind of have people watching them. They have quite a few subscribers. They do their volleyball thing or whatever. So they're just, I think that they're going to be well-rounded teammates, and they did practice. They practiced their flags and the country stuff. They practiced obviously running on sand. They practiced driving standard. So they did some of the things that I would think would be really important for good racers. And they already have the teammate thing down, and they're already related, and they look like they also get along as brothers. So I think that would be universal across most people as the pair of racers that would do the best.
Well, I will tell you now. My top pick for who I thought was going to win was Aparna and Eswar, and I still feel good with them. I thought that they were a great team tonight. But I will tell you that both of us, our top picks, were not agreed with the fans that are watching Reality Realnesss right now. But the same team got the highest amount for who they want to see win and who they think will win.
Okay, so let me think then. If it's not that, then it would be, who else would it be? I feel like those are like, that's.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be any of the all women teams. Maybe Hung and Chi. I'm actually stumped. Like, I don't know who everybody would say, you know what I mean? But okay, I'm gonna go with Hung and Chi.
Good job. So the team that actually came in first, and actually all these votes came in before the show aired last night. But the majority of Reality Realness audience, they want to see Hung and Chi win, and they think that Hung and Chi will win.
I'm like,
so there you go.
I'm like, who answered this? I'm just kidding.
40%. So that's pretty good. And, and I like that.
And there was part of this episode where I was like getting really, really sweating about like my team picks, and I was like, oh god, I don't know if I can face build tomorrow if it goes a certain way. Anna is in the chat. Hey Anna, how are you? Hopefully you watched the Amazing Race, so let us know what you're thinking about this episode so far, and who's your favorite team. And I think you know this man, Phil. So Ron, hi Ron, thanks for joining us live. What about Phil's Amazing Date? This seems like an inside joke that I don't know about, or was there was that a season? Oh, okay, that was
no. So actually, that was the first real official date that I went on with my now husband 11 and a half years ago. He set up an amazing date, and then we went all around Niagara Falls, and we did like all this stuff. And as soon as that happened, I was like, I think I found the right person for me. So
like hearts and heart emojis. Like I just be like, oh, you do love me. Like I would be in it. That is like, I watched The Bachelorette, and that premiered yesterday or the day before yesterday, and like everybody comes out of the limo with their gimmicks of like different stunts or costumes just to try to like show their excitement to meeting this new bachelor or bachelorette. And so this is him like coming out of the limo with like guns blazing. Like he was coming for you. There's no chance to say no to that, right?
Absolutely not. It was good. He did a great job. It was wonderful.
Adam says those are not my picks. Hi Adam, thanks for hanging out with us. Who are your picks then? They're not my
Let
pick
us know.
either, but they've definitely grown on me since this episode started. So I'm happy. I'm happy that, you know, I'm not completely right, but like I'm happy that I'm not completely wrong either. So, okay, we start off this episode, the premiere episode, and even when I heard the music, that dun, 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 and I was just like, oh, I'm so excited. And I watched it back a couple times, the beginning poses where they're like, it's my favorite. we're like, you know? That's the silly things that I like about The Amazing Race is that those cheesy intro videos where, like, you know, the nerds are like, they're like exactly. So good. Yes. Adam says Leo and Alana. Oh yeah, I love that. The nerds. There you go. Yes. Yeah, I actually really like them too. That's another team. I think I sent you a little clip that talked about them doing a lot of, you know, pre-gaming and pre-studying and like learning about things that they could need to know on the race. And so I was like, yes, I'm really happy that I put them on my team because, like, you know, I think that anybody that puts in that extra effort are just going to do that much better in the race in general. So yay for me. So what happened? They've done their 1 million miles, which was like pretty impressive. When I think about that in kilometers, it's like 2.2 million kilometers. That's far.
That's a little much. Yeah.
Not much.
And we're still watching.
And that's one thing that I think is when you have a hit is the fact that it will never really go stale. You know what I mean? Because like new people, new places, new challenges, no matter what, you're going to have an interesting season. It will never get boring, I think. Do you think it could?
Yeah, every season could be different. I mean, some seasons it depends on the airport. Sometimes taxis. Sometimes there's people fighting with each other. Sometimes there's couples that definitely should not be on the race that we love to watch. Like there's all sorts of different things that could happen. Animals, right? Like animals. Working with that, like, come on.
One thing that I learned right in the beginning, though, was we didn't draft them, but the sisters, I can't remember their name, Caitlin and something. Sorry, I'll look it up in a second. Well, that they said they both moved out of their homes at 15 and 16. And so I was like, that allowed me to think of them having a lot more life experience, have a little bit more street smarts, which I wasn't giving them any credit towards. And I might have wanted to draft them instead or maybe shifted things around a little bit because I just didn't picture them to be having all that life experience. So I was really pleasantly surprised that they were a little bit more, seemingly more deep than I was giving them credit for.
Yeah, I felt the same. I actually whispered to myself, "Oh, maybe I should have picked this team. Like I should have drafted them." So we'll see. I hope we're both right, but it would be cool to be proven wrong too. So let's see.
So at the beginning, though, when they're all standing, we've seen that clip before, like in the preseason, and I'm just thinking about how I would feel if I were there. I would be so nervous. Like, I think I would be crying. I was so nervous. I would be so nervous. How do you think you'd feel at the starting line?
Okay, well, I have a thing with, like, falling when I'm nervous. So, like, being on a stage, I'm going to tumble down those steps when they say go. Like, that's happening. Like, I'm going to be the last one to my bed.
Oh, no. Okay, so note to self, do not do The Amazing Race with Phil.
First strike.
Like, okay, well, we're definitely not going to do this together. But when they do like YouTubers under 1,000 subscribers, we have Chantele and Phil as the next. Ron says, Leah and Alana remind me of Ernie and Cindy with the studying. Oh boy, see, I don't remember what that is.
Okay, so that was season 19, I believe. They were a really cute couple.
19. You know that it was season 19?
They were a really cute couple. They won. Spoiler alert. And you know, they were actually such a loving couple. So yeah, actually I did get good vibes on Leo and Alana on the sense of like I thought that their relationship together was quite strong. Like I agree with that.
Yeah, I like them. I just don't remember who those people are. Like, if I went back, I'd be like, oh, I remember this season. But like, when I watch them all in real time, have you done a rewatch of them? Is that why it's a little fresher, or is it still from like 10 years ago that you remember Ernie and Sydney?
Actually, I will say that of that season, I remember them right off the bat being my favorites, and I like them to the end. But we have like a lot of them on DVD. Like we get the special things sent to us. I don't have that one though. I don't have that one.
But I mean, you still have old races in the brain. So yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm like, that's just like, I remember certain characters for sure, but I don't remember their whole season right off the top of my head. Man, I feel like I'm not.
I'm gonna be testing you all season on who's who. Don't worry, it's all good.
No. Okay, so they're going to be going to Trinidad, which is the first time of the race. I think we talked about this last week. That they've had been going to this country, so Trinidad and Tobago. And you said you've been to both?
Nope, never been to either. No,
neither.
No,
Me neither.
Would love
I've not
to.
been to
Would
Trinidad
love to.
or Tobago. But I would be excited to go experience Carnival. There's definitely like Carnival type vibes in Toronto every summer, which didn't get to happen obviously this year. But it's called Caravana here in Toronto. And so I definitely used to go to Caravana every year with my grandmother when I was younger. So I think I would enjoy the vibes of going to Trinidad, especially for their Carnival. So that's something I was like, I need to go to Trinidad for Carnival, put that on my bucket list for sure. So what they had to do, so they get to Trinidad and they were kind of all started running around looking for taxis, this and that. And they had to go, did you remember exactly where they had to go? What did it say?
They had
24-hour fruit stand.
They had to, yes, take the cabs to the fruit stand and grab some steel drums.
And roll them through this busy city to a carnival, like Saturday night carnival, event or like area. And we see your top team, just like kind of leisurely taking a taxi ride and just like mentioning that, they don't want to rush and be like, toppling over top of each other at the front of the pack. They just want to just like chill in the middle. What do you think about their strategy at the very beginning of this race?
So written in my notes, I wrote, "Ugh, uh-oh, I'm in trouble." So they wrote the fact that they wrote, "We're gonna let people go ahead of us. We don't see how that's gonna benefit us being all pushing at the front of the pack or something." I was like, "Okay, that's not a good strategy."
No, especially like right now, like, yes, I can understand where they're talking about because there's so many teams, there's 11 teams, and so like scrambling for team number 1 right now doesn't fully matter necessarily, but like it also matters though, which we find out because there's going to be a tier system of like who gets to advance on certain flights. So before that though, so first team that was up at the 24-hour fruit stand was my boys Riley and Madison. Second up was your team, and the audience's team, I guess we can call them as well, was Hung and Chi. I didn't know she was 5 feet tall and 100 pounds, so like she's a little feisty one. Like I didn't know she was that little. That's so small, tiny.
Yeah.
And who else was there? I don't remember who came up third, but that's when Eswar and Aparta, they see the teams like rolling the barrels, and so they're like, "Stop the taxi!" And I'm like, "Wait, why did they stop? I think they saw taxi." Yeah, go ahead.
Did they see them at the end? Like at the end of the task? Like they had to run all the way up the street almost? Like it felt like they were like right by the Carnival thing.
Yes.
And they had to go run. That's not good.
That's not a very good decision. You're in a taxi and you're already going to be paying them most likely the same amount of money for whether you got out now or a few feet down the road to your actual destination. Like I know they probably got excited, like, oh, it must be close to here. This is where they are with the barrels. But like I do feel as though everybody had been rolling these barrels for at least 5 or 10 minutes while they were leisurely taking their taxi ride. And so then they had to go and run what should have been a taxi ride distance and then come with their barrels after. So I hope that they are able to recover, because I don't want to see them do poorly in the race. But I think those are two colossal mistakes right out the gate that very easily could have blossomed the first leg.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's lucky it's the first leg, and usually in the first leg there's some sort of bunching that happens after the first task. They're lucky that happened, because if it was still continuing going and everybody just kept racing, they would have been behind. So they did a good job in the sense that they finished it kind of fast. I think it seemed like they caught up to people.
That editing, just like, oh, let's just cut this here.
It's tough to tell with the editing.
And one part though that I gasped was when Will drops that clue, and because whenever you see the clue fall, you're just like, oh my god, hopefully he picks them all up. Like they didn't show that he didn't, but like I actually like was like, ah! Like so worried. Like, and then I realized, I'm like, okay, so I now I know I really like that team, because I was really worried for them dropping their clue. So it's like, okay, so I'm happy that you're on my team. I definitely am rooting for them. They also have a lot of videos on like their journey to get into the Amazing Race, which I think has been a way for me to be engaging with them as well. And so I am rooting for them. Did you gasp for that moment? Go ahead.
I did, and I was wondering, do you feel, because really nothing came out of that, do you feel that was a foreshadow of something that might happen in the future to maybe them or another team about like dropping the, because why show it if it doesn't have an impact?
Well, because they got the gasp out of me.
That's true. They did get the gasp out of me.
But I don't think they're doing that for me specifically, but I think, I mean, it happens every season. So I think it's going to happen again. And if they're showing it, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened to Will or his partner. You know what I mean? Like, it was just kind of, I do feel that it must be foreshadowing, or they wouldn't have put it in there. I do agree. No, that's like, that is the one major rule, I think, in the Amazing Race is, where is your passport? Where is your clue? Like, those are the two things that you actually can't do anything. Like, you can figure out money, you can figure out like if you need to, you know, get somewhere, but like if you don't have your passport or you don't have the clue that you need to have to be able to participate in a task, like you might as well just forfeit the game. So
yeah, hopefully
that was his learning lesson and he won't do that again. But it was really, really dramatic when I saw that happen. I was so scared. I was so scared that he wasn't going to see it all, and then he wouldn't pick it all up, and then he would have to go back, and then there'd be fighting for the back of the pack. Like, oh, it would have been awful. So the first 7 teams are going to be getting on the first flight to Tobago. And so they're obviously the teams that I already mentioned, and the last team on that flight was Will and, sorry, what's his partner's name again?
Will and James.
James. And so if they had dropped that, they would have probably lost being on the first plane there. And so another reason why it's really important to just do well all the time and don't let people get in front of you. Like, a partner.
Yeah. As easy as that is, just do well all the time.
Well, don't take a step back. I think you need to always keep moving. If you're in the front, I would maybe not like try to set the pace too hard. You know what I mean? Like, I would try to like make the whole pace of the race maybe a little bit slower. So people are, even though they're catching up to you, like, if you are going super fast, people are always going to be chasing you and trying to come up behind you. You know what I mean? But if you kind of ease back a little bit at the front, you can maybe like make it a more manageable pace for yourself. So, and less mistakes will be made. So I think that, if you're in the back, especially, like, you need to charge forward. You need to be in the front of the pack. Have to. Blaine is in the house. Hi, Blaine. How are you? So they get on the plane. What else happened?
So they're on the plane and they're going to head out to the beach.
Yes. And what was it called? They called it something. Okay, so they were on the 740 flight. Number 1, they're going to Tobago, which is known for its beautiful beaches. And the flight difference is 30 minutes apart, which is actually not that big of a gap. I think it was easy to be able to catch up, especially in the tasks that they had to do moving forward. 30 minutes is not big of a deal, actually, in the end.
No.
Didn't think so.
No.
So they go to Swallows Beach, and so what they have to do is they go out in a little like a little mini boat, and on their boat they have a fish, and the fish has a number on it, and then it also has kind of like a color code of little like colored stripes on the fish. So it's like red, orange, blue, 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 red, or whatever it is. There's different color patterns. And they go out into this big area in the water that's about the size of a football field, they said. And you have to find your matching fish that's in the water and put in the code on your boat into the fish that corresponds. What do you think of this task as a task? Did you enjoy it? And how do you think you would have done?
I thought it was a great task. I was worried. I didn't quite understand if they knew about what the fish, like they had to look at that fish completely in detail, or if they just said, here's a fish and a number. I kind of got that vibe that it was, here's a fish and a number, and they had to sort of realize why they got the fish and then go in the water.
I feel like it said, like, find your matching fish.
Find your matching fish. So yeah, because I was surprised then that why people got out and they're like, oh, well, we didn't really look at the fish in detail. It's like, well, okay, you should look at the fish. I don't know.
Right?
But I thought that the task itself was great. Some of the teams did really well. A couple of the teams struggled. I mean, either by making that mistake of not realizing what it was, or I forget which, the team that was in the back, Kelly and Levon. I felt bad when she's like saying like, I'm doing the lock and I've got dyslexia. Was it? She said she had.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, why isn't the other girl doing the lock part?
Right?
Like, why, like, what? And I'm sure she probably was, but it just felt like, because of the editing, it felt like it was just the one girl was doing that part of it. And it's like, maybe switch. I don't know. I felt awful for her.
I did too. Like, that was something I was just like, I feel like you're putting her to fail right now. Like, you know, I really thought, because it got to the point where they were actually the last team that was there. And, you know, I was like, they have to go back to the boat and she needs to double check that number, because like she may not have been putting in the correct number this whole time. And so like, what if they've already passed it? Like, I was just getting so nervous for them, especially for the fact that it's like, has to do with just like ordering numbers, and dyslexia is like kind of like, it's almost like a joke, you know, a bad joke. It's be like, hey, let's get the dyslexic to put the numbers in order, right? Like it just didn't seem very fair for her partner not to be a little more hands-on in something that was going to be a challenge for her partner. So I was worried for them there, and I was like, no, I'm so worried. I was also surprised by Chi and Hung that they were just doing trial and error, and I believe they got to number 55, I believe it was, of the number of locks that they tried before they got their matching fish. So do you in the end think that this was the best strategy?
I think depending on where they were in the water from their boat, it made sense. But I think from what we saw, and they said it almost right away, that they did not know that they should go. They should have went back to the boat. Like they knew right away that they had made a mistake, and so then they just left it to random luck. And the boat was still right by them. They should have gone back to the boat.
Yeah, right in the beginning, anyways. And like,
yeah.
I feel like it would be faster to know, like, if it's red, blue, yellow, and just be like, oh, no, it's blue. It started with the blue. Oh, that started with the green. Oh, that started, you know what I mean? It just, like, it would have accumulated, made them be faster by those little, like, 2 seconds, 1 second, 3 seconds that they would have saved by not trying to fiddle with a lock that didn't work 55 times. So, with the outcome, they did a pretty good job in the end. But I think that they could have been even faster if they had just had, you know, they would have been able to just be able to go through all those 55 in probably half the amount of time. So wasn't happy with that.
I was surprised that the teams, all the teams seemed to be just randomly yelling out red, blue, yellow, yellow, blue. And none of them said to themselves, well, why don't I just use like RGY
That's
or
exactly
something
what I
like
thought.
that, like, and just so that when other people are talking, it's not getting into your head because you've got your own letters that you're working with.
100%. Like everybody knows,
Yeah.
well, not everybody, but that's what I would have done. I was like, why would you be saying that whole color? Like you just have 6 letters that you need to memorize and 4 numbers that you need to memorize. Like not yellow, blue, green, red, purple. What?
Yeah.
Purple, green, yellow, you know what I mean? You just won't remember, but you remember like R, G, R, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm with you. What does Jonathan have to say here? I was waiting for them to say she was colorblind as well as dyslexic. You are killing me, Jonathan. But with how this entire leg went, I do feel that there's a little bit of crybaby-itis that was going on with Kelly. I definitely want them to succeed, but I feel as though with her not being used to not doing well at something that I feel like she kind of throws in the towel or makes excuses as to why she isn't doing very well. And I'll talk a little bit more about my feelings about Kelly in the next section, but I wouldn't have been surprised either, Jonathan, because I did feel as though she was using it became to appear to be a reason to, be the victim here,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree with that. I can speak for my husband who is colorblind. It is hell to be colorblind. It's so tough to with those kinds of games with the colors. It's baffling to me because I can see colors and I'm like, how do you not see this? But that's how it is.
Is his red green?
Actually, it's an assortment of all different colors. His browns are greens and browns are greens and blues, and it's all over the place. Gray is a different, looks funny, which is funny because gray is not really a color.
Okay, so now I do have a question then. You might not be able to answer this, but for instance, in school, I took color theory. And so in color theory class, we had to make a color wheel. And that's just going from every primary color and going through all the secondary colors and all the tertiary colors and make a big wheel of all the colors. So would he be able to look at the say yellow, or no, we'll say red on that thing and know that it's red and still be able to make it into the next, into purple? Would he still be able to do that, or would it just not line? How does that work?
See, I don't know really. I can't really answer that because he's been taught what that color is by the way that he looks at it.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. So then it would work. Okay, it would work.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's so interesting.
But to him, what he sees is not what I see.
Right?
So
it's going to be he'd be like, why would this be the color wheel? It makes absolutely no sense. But it's perfectly in color gradients. Just to piggyback on that thought, though, I had a friend that I used to work with at this bar in Montreal, and she had no sense of smell. So she can't smell anything. And she's like, she was trying to explain that to me. And she's like, well, everything just kind of tastes kind of the same. And she's like, for instance, if I had any flavor of Gatorade, they would all taste the same. And that when she eats something, it's just to feel the different textures or the temperature or the consistency. But flavor wise, it's all basically the same, which is really interesting. And too much information, but she used to always make me smell her underarms because she didn't know if she had BO or not. She's like, I don't know if I have BO. I can't smell anything. So, that's her experience. And so
what a good friend you are.
I could never understand though, and I haven't had COVID, which apparently you lose your sense of smell. So I don't know what that would be like. And so I feel for Ron.
Yeah.
What's Jonathan saying here? Right, exactly. Because the next happens with numbers 2, which is I feel like they would have known that, as not to say that they would change what they were doing for specific racers, but I think that having that as being part of the consideration, though, I think, what do you think about that actually?
Well, what I like about the race is that they don't always. I don't know. I feel like the race is fair. Everybody goes into it. They have their pros, their cons. Sometimes they happen early in the race. Sometimes they They don't, obviously these girls can run. I mean, like of all the teams, I think that they blasted through that finish line, So it's okay. I think that they have a weakness for them because I think they're pretty strong on other areas of the race.
Okay, fine. One thing that popped up though was Michelle and Victoria. I mean, they did very well this leg, but I'm worried for them as a partnership. Like, I think that they're going to get in fights, and I think that Michelle might be a little bit of a liability on that team. Yes, she was able to pull through, almost, but like for the most part, yes. But I think that their dynamic, I don't know if they're going to race well together. How did you feel about them?
I was really impressed with them in the fish challenge. I thought that they did. I think they left second in that second, or I'm not sure. But they did really well there. But when they left the steel drum challenge and they got into that argument, and she like right off the bat, she was like, "Well, I knew I should have done that one. You guys left in second. I mean, like, drop it. You did great. There's 9 other teams behind you, and like you smoked them. Like, I think saying things like that can demoralize your partner, So I don't know. I too worry about them, but I was impressed with how well they did this. Like, hopefully, they stay well because they're in my pool. So
I know that they're in your pool. I was like, I don't want them to do well, but like I also want them to do well because like I don't know. I think that they're going to be a very interesting team to watch.
Yeah.
Even when talking about their growing up and that they're, that Victoria is the favorite daughter, like you can tell that Michelle it resents Victoria a little bit. Yeah. And I think that Michelle's pretty hard on herself, it seems. And so seeing some of these dynamics play out is going to be interesting, but I hope it's just like it's cathartic as opposed to damaging to their relationship. I hope this race is helpful to them to like become better friends.
Oh yeah.
I hope so. Jonathan says also she killed the running the coats part. Yeah. You're definitely going to talk more in depth about their speed there. The second flight basically caught up to the people that were in the water, including Kelly and Levon.
Yeah.
So they all they end up doing it and leaving. They're just there kind of like upset. They finally get it. It was after I think their 66th one or something absurd. Like it was super high. And they finally get to leave and go and catch up. And so I was like, okay, they got it. I was hoping it was one of those challenges where like the tide raises and then they can't do it anymore and they get like they have to be out of the race.
Phil comes out on a boat and he's like, "Sorry, girls, you're out." No, that didn't happen. I
was so grateful that they didn't. Like, I was really worried for that to be a thing, and they're on my team. So I was like, girls, ladies, like, you're Olympic athletes. Like, do better at this. I was trying to be their coach or something. So the roadblock clue was who thinks that they can steal, spelled STEEL, the show. So which one would you have done it or no? Go.
So this is our first roadblock, Chantele.
Yes.
Me and you. This is our first roadblock, and now we have to look at it as if we don't know what's happening. We open that clue. What do you think?
It said something about rhythm, I believe, and so I think that I would be confident in doing this one. I play many instruments. I was also in a traveling Orff percussion group when I was young. I could play multiple different xylophones and timpanis and whatnot. And so I think that with having, I believe I have perfect pitch as well, or I used to when I was younger. So I believe that my background in music would allow me to do well in this task. And I also have rhythm and I also know the song.
I agree, but I will also say that we would have been very good at this task if either of us had done it, because I too have played many instruments. I actually conducted. So I'm good at that as well. I can play a variety of instruments as well, and so I think music wise, and of course, I mean that song. I mean, let's go.
So like, Phil will know it's from Beetlejuice. Phil will know for sure. Like Beetlejuice. That's the only time I mean, they played it obviously all over the place. It's a very famous song, but I definitely remember it distinctively from Beetlejuice. So good.
So we would have smoked this challenge. We would have been perfect.
I thought it was actually very easy. I thought that they wouldn't have the numbers in the timpani after. I thought that like maybe they would have it on their music stand, because I think that it's fair to have your music while you're playing something. But I thought that maybe the numbers inside of the drum would have been gone, because that would have made it actually difficult. But with the numbers there, like I think that it was four stanzas. Like I think that it would have been pretty easy to memorize and do well quite quickly.
Yeah, I mean the real learning thing in that would have been, you just got to remember where the numbers are as best as you can, so that you can look up and read the music if you need to. But you know, I think after you've tried it a couple times, like the numbers aren't changing, so you should just remember the numbers. And yeah.
Well, yeah, I'd probably do it would be like 3, 5, 3, 5, whatever it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like I would be playing it and saying the numbers is probably how I would be doing it. And memorize it that way. I think that's how I'd probably tackle it. But it seems as though people weren't connecting the numbers with what they're doing. And so I think that that's where it caused the trouble. But I would be singing and playing the number at the same time to get it into your body. And I think it would be easier to remember that way. That's how I would probably attack it. Do you have a specific way you would do it too?
No, I agree with that. I mean, I think a lot of it is listening, but you know, the fact that you have numbers written in a can and you have in a drum and a number on the sheet, after the third time, if you're not getting it, you're not listening, or something's not right, because that was quite easy, I felt, for a roadblock. So. And
I actually wonder, I don't know if you would know the answer to this. I've never played a steel drum before specifically, but is the numbers correspondent to like A, B, C, D, E, F, G? Like, you know what I mean? Like it is? So like 1 would be middle C and 3 would be, oh my God. So then that would be very easy then. Because like I would know what the numbers are, as in like AG, whatever.
Yeah. Now on there was more that didn't have numbers marked on them. So some of those might have been the regular notes, and there might have been sharps and flats, but that doesn't even matter because you're just learning the number.
And they only really went through like 5 notes.
Yeah, I think like hit 3 and 5, like half the songs.
3, 5, and 8 is like pretty much all of it. And 8 was all the way over here. Anyways, I know we're just being, you know, snobs about our music knowledge, that we just find this to be so easy. And I want us to be so bad at it because we like think that we're great. But like I'd be dancing in it. That's another thing that I found that was I enjoyed the task in general, but I felt that everybody was so stiff. And like you could see the people of the town that were kind of listening, like pretending to like groove to like the music, and they're just like, "Daylight, come and we want to go home," and like you're just like, "Come on, let's get into it a little bit," you know. But like they couldn't handle having any groove.
Oh, I loved watching some of the that were beside the drummers, and they were like, "Just give it to them. Just give it to them." I was like, okay.
Anna says, I still find it funny that they ended up ahead of Will and Gary after the steel drums. Will is gone. So Gary and DeAndre, I think it's who you mean, Anna.
Yeah.
Will, he did it pretty quickly. Like he failed his first couple times, but I think he got it under 10 tries. I don't think he was there for that long. And again, I was really excited when he got it. And so I'm like, okay, I'm rooting for you. Like when you see teams like do well or like they're failing and then they get it, like that's how I know that I'm rooting for them. So I'm rooting for Will and James. How are you feeling about Gary and DeAndre? They didn't seem to make the right decision as to who was going to do the roadblock.
No, that was a choice that was made way too fast. They should have thought about it, listened, because when they were there, you could hear them in the background. You could hear those drums playing. And yeah, that was quite a clue. I like them though. I think that they're going to be they're going to be like one of the fun teams to watch. I don't know if they'll. I don't know if they'll win. They you know what? They're on my team. They could win. But I don't know. Wow. Like, I mean, they're both built like. So those strength tasks, look out! They're gonna knock them out of the park.
Well, didn't he say when he was 6'5", 265 pounds? Like, he just laying out his stats on Gary. Like, Gary's kind of like, it's a little personal, you know? I don't know. I think,
but I also like that they really focused on them too. That they showed that they've been friends for a while, and like, you know, like they're not just doing it because they're both football people. Like, they actually are doing it because they like each other and they're friends, which is cool. So.
One thing though, that this could be a hot take, and tell me what you think about it though. I felt as though DeAndre didn't want to step up in that moment. And I think that he allowed Gary to step up, but I think that he just was like, he was worried about not doing well. And I think that he didn't step up when he should have. That's kind of what it felt like to me, because, you know, I think that he actually just failed the team in that moment, because he should have said, like, I can do this, not saying after the fact that, oh, I would have done this better. I think that he didn't want to step up.
Yeah, I think nerves, that first leg nerves of, oh, I don't want to be the reason we lose.
This is the funniest thing. Adam says Catherine O'Hara would have killed this roadblock.
Totally. Totally.
For us Canadian folk, she would have. Anna also says, it wasn't looking good for Levon and Kelly. They had me stressed the whole time until the running with the goats. Yes, Anna, I was really stressed. They are also on my team. I was giving them, you know, a lot of credit for being, you know, Olympic athletes and being teammates and friends. It seems like we're learning more so that they weren't just teammates, but they actually have a friendship connection and bond. And so I was just really upset that, like, maybe they weren't going to have a chance to do more of the race, because I wanted to see them try new things. I wanted to see if they can excel in other things, and for them to go out the first leg, like she said, that would be really demoralizing, but like I would be upset for them because I would want to see them do better.
I think yes, I understand everyone was stressed for them. They seem quite stressed. I think the goats at the end of it were more stressed. I think the goats were like, who are these people running past me? This never happens.
Right? Like, whoa. So Hung, I believe, Chi, I believe, is Chinese, and Michelle and Victoria are Vietnamese, if I'm not mistaken. And so Michelle, like, you know, she's like, oh, the Chinese man is going to beat me. He probably, you know, did more piano lessons, and, you know, saying things that were very politically, you know, could be polarizing if it was said by somebody else. But I have to admit, though, that at the school that I went to, we had a lot of really amazing Chinese like boys and girls that were like unbelievable at the piano and unbelievable at violin. And so just to attest to that in general, like, I definitely have witnessed some, I would say, child prodigies that were Chinese descent that at 9 years old were playing like at Carnegie Hall. You know what I mean? Like, they were just amazing. So I thought it was interesting though that she was bringing that up. I never really heard specifically of Vietnamese families taking up piano. That was new for me, but they both did really well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Knocked it out of the park.
And she ended up leaving first. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Chi and Hung, I mean, they were amazing this leg. Like, I think that they ran almost a perfect race the first leg. So
pretty good. The one like fail would be that they could have been even further ahead, I would say, if they had just look at the color code on the fish. But maybe you know, I mean, they still were able to be methodical and get through it and be decently fast at it. And then also though, so the third part, they didn't really name this part of the leg, but they had to hold on to the goats and run with the goats to the finish line, to the mat. And so Hung and she get there, but she doesn't let go of the goat, and she kind of is pulled and she falls and kind of bangs her head on the mat, enough so that Phil was very worried that she might have been maybe even concussed. Like, it hurt. It looked like it hurt.
Yeah, Phil was after that. Every other team that came, it was like, okay, you can slow
let
down, let go, slow down,
let
let go. He was scared.
So scared.
I was upset that we didn't get to see a race, an actual race between two teams, because I know that's why they set that up, was so that there'd be like people arriving at the same time and there would be like a race between people. But it was fun to watch. It was a different way of doing it. So.
Definitely very different. Jonathan agrees with us basically here. When Michelle and Victoria said that she probably played piano growing up, cut to cheat thank his parents for piano lessons. It's true. I mean, it would be very helpful just to understand music in general. I don't, because I've had music and you probably have had it for pretty much all of your life, so you kind of understand how sound and different notes kind of work. And so I can't actually fathom what it would be like to learn something like that without having any sort of musical knowledge.
Yeah. On the spot. Yeah.
That's okay, Anna. Don't worry. T-Lit. Hi, T-Lit. How are you? So, hello. I've always wondered if people watching get sick of hearing the same stuff over and over and over and over, but how to look like they're enjoying it. Not us. Not us. I guess you're assuming podcasters here. I listen to every podcaster that talks about all the shows that I cover. What about you?
I think she's talking, or he's talking about the steel drum audience having to watch it over and over and over.
And enjoying it. Okay, that's what you meant. Yeah. That's actually very funny. And that's kind of what I put an LOL there. I'm like, no one has any vibe, LOL. The people are listening and they're trying to groove, but there's no groove. Yeah, they're probably bored. That was probably like a few hours of them being like, daylight come and you wanna go home. Sorry, I thought you were talking about.
They got paid. Hopefully they got paid for that.
They definitely got paid. Like they probably all got a day rate of like $1,000 or something American for the day. You know, that's a normal day rate for industry standards in the arts. Adam says almost perfect except for the fall with the goat dragging her across the mat. Yeah, like that got a little bit scary at that for a quick second, but I'm happy that she's okay. She's probably a little bit shook, and like her adrenaline must have been going at that moment. Like she's gonna get their first place on the mat. And then what happened was something that was very different than I've ever experienced in any of the races. I believe this is the first time on the first leg that it was, you're still racing this race. What did you think when Phil said that to Hung and Chi?
I was shocked. I did not see that coming. I thought that this was just going to be a regular leg. Yeah, I love it. I feel bad for her because she hit her head and fell and was all stressed out. And then it's like, keep racing. She's probably in a daze at that moment, like what's going on. But no, I think it's great. Like, I mean, it adds a little bit of excitement. They're off to a whole nother country, a whole nother continent. And yeah, off we go.
And so what I said, though, I was like, thank goodness, because you know, at this point, the bottom four teams was, we had Kelly. Kelly was the one that was doing the task again. So it feels as though at this point, Levon doesn't seem to step up as much. Like at this point, it seems as though Kelly is like taking a lot of the control of what was on the race. I don't know if she feels like she needs to prove something to Levon or what, but I don't know. I felt as though maybe Levon should have said like, hey, I'll do this one. You worked really hard on the last one and it was stressful for you. So I don't know what their dynamic is fully, but I was like upset that Kelly was like stressed out again. And this is what I was going to say before, was that when she was doing the steel drums and you just see her just throw the talons, or what are they called? They're not really batons. Anyways, there's a name for them that I'll probably remember after this is done. But she just kept on throwing them in the steel drum, like whenever she messed up. Like there was kind of like a toddler throwing the toys out of the pram because she's like a petulant child. Like there was a little bit of defiance in her and in how she was dealing with not doing well. And instead of going back and going to the teacher again and practicing, she just got back to the back of the line. And I'm like, I never understand why you wouldn't just take that extra time to practice it maybe one more time and then go back and attack it again instead of like waiting in line and then, potentially not doing well again. So I thought it was a bad strategy. And I was
I worry about her. Like, I'm hopeful that this team isn't just like, we're good at some things, but like everything else, if we can't do it, we're going to freak out. Because that's not going to be a good thing. That's gonna hurt them soon.
Like, I see them giving up.
Ugh.
You know what I mean, though? Like, I see them being like, I can't do this. I can't find this. There's no hope. Like, I can see them giving up now, just seeing how at least Kelly operated in the steel drum task. But I was still rooting for them. So in the final four was Kelly, Kaylin. I felt that they didn't take it seriously enough. I was just like, be more serious. Don't be so happy that you didn't do well. Like, come on, like, be serious. Cody, who was on your team, we haven't really talked much about that team, and Gary. So Gary, was it Gary or is it Frank? Did I say the wrong name? It was Frank. Sorry, I said Gary, but no, sorry. Gary was your guy. I meant Frank was Frank already left. Never mind. I'm mixing up the names. So it was, what's the Frank and what's his dad's name?
Jerry.
Okay. Sorry. I'm just confusing myself and everybody that's listening right now. So the final four teams were Kelly, Cody, Kaylin, and Gary. And Kaylin goes first, if I'm not mistaken. And then then Gary gets it. And the last two teams are Kelly and Cody. And I was like, how is this possible, Kelly? Like, I know it's the number of things. I know she's dyslexic, blah, blah, blah. But I was just like, I really didn't want any of the teams to leave. And I was so happy, and this is exactly what Jonathan's saying right here, that it was a non-elimination leg. Jonathan says that he thought that the still racing meant that it was going to be a non-elimination leg. And I had just a sense of relief because I didn't want any of the teams to go yet. I wanted them to just kind of get their racing feet and get into the groove. And not really what happened.
Yeah, they did that a long time ago where the last place team didn't get eliminated, and that was really nice because you got to get to know all the teams. And so when this happened, when it was keep racing, I agree with Jonathan. I was completely like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. Nobody's going to go with the first episode. But no.
Well, when Kelly finally did get it, though, my eyes watered up a little bit. So I realized that I am invested in them as a team, even though I do think that they will quit at some point. And so basically Cody was there last. He eventually gets it. Like, he started off, I'd say, the roughest. He wasn't getting it at all, but he eventually did sound decent comparatively. So I thought it was going to be Kelly and Cody racing at the back, but I thought it wasn't going to matter. It's just going to be a non-elimination leg, and that maybe they'd lose. They don't really lose their money and all that stuff anymore, but like have to do a speed bump at some point during the next bit or whatever. I thought that's what was going to happen, and so I kind of was like less stressed out. I was like, okay, I'm fine here. I'm fine here. And Kelly seems to like they just bumped ahead of a couple of people.
Well, now they did show something earlier, and I was wondering if this came into play. I was wondering if for Gary and D'Angelo, if their boat went too slow because of how much weight was on the boat, because that was what was happening earlier. So I wonder if the girls passed them because of their boat going too slow, because they beat them, and I don't know.
That makes a lot of sense. Like, if you have a slow boat, you got a slow boat. Maybe they were just able to pick up some speed there. They were 100% when they got there faster than the goats. Like, everybody else was being dragged by these boats, and these ladies were just like, they're ahead of the goats almost. The goats were trying to catch up to them, so they were definitely had some speed on them. And I like Phil even called them out for being faster than the goats.
Did you see those girls run? And the guy's like, what's this all about?
Jonathan's coming to save me. Yes, they are mallets. Thank you, Jonathan. I would have remembered eventually, but you're faster than I. T-Lit says, I was shocked too, and then even more shocked when the last team came in and was sent home. I just thought that they were going to be able to keep going. Me too. I like 100% when Cody, what's his partner's name?
Nathan.
When Cody and Nathan got there, I was just like, I just felt good that they were going to be so upset, but like they're still going to get to keep racing. And like, I was just waiting for it. And he's like, I'm sorry, you have been eliminated from the race. I was like, excuse me?
Yeah.
I was shocked.
Close. That was close then for Gary and D'Angelo, because like they saw them and started running. And so, I mean, they were almost eliminated too there. So I was shocked. I was upset. That I think that they would have been a good character team, those two guys. I love the feature. I mean, I can't even imagine putting my hand in a catfish's mouth. That would not be my world.
Yeah, like no. I just think, okay, what would make you want to do that? Like you'd do that for like $5,000, like, or you'd do it for $100, wouldn't you?
I don't know. Animals at me. See, strike two. Here we go.
Okay, would you eat something disgusting?
Oh, I could eat anything. Yeah.
Like
no
even like sea cucumber or those 100-year-old eggs? No problem. Okay, that's all
that I could do.
That's fun that you could do the super gross ones, because those like are not my vibes at all. Adam says, if you're going to be on The Amazing Race, would you coordinate matching swimsuits with your partner? Yes. Would you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you go all out. Have embroidery like Team Guido.
Exactly. No, I mean, I love Halloween. I love dressing up every birthday. For the most part, I had it be themed of some sort. I love people dressing up for no real reason. And so I definitely would make a hashtag for our team. And I would demand that we had matching Speedos or like whatever bathing suits. 100%. Would you, Adam?
I do. Oh yeah, Adam, let us know. I would definitely want to see drag queens run the race once. I think that would be fun. I don't know how well they do, because they'd have like, I mean, but it'd be awesome to see like somebody in matching like outfits as well doing it. That'd be cool.
I don't think that it would work unless it was maybe a whole season of drag queens doing this kind of race. Because Janelle was saying that she would never do the race again because you basically run around the world looking like shit. And so drag queens, from what I know, take at least an hour or two just to do their makeup. I just don't think that the constraints of the race would allow them to be able to get ready to, the level that we'd want to see them be running around in, But if they changed it, if it was all drag queens, it would work then, because they'd be like, okay, you have 1 hour to get ready and, figure that part out too. I would watch that. It'd be like, that's what I kind of thought RuPaul's Drag Race was before I knew what the actual show was. I thought it was going to be people like drag queens doing the Amazing Race type thing. I did think that. Should we create something new? Phil, hold on. Phil, are we onto something here?
That's a show.
Wait, but like seriously. Like
the Amazing Drag Race.
I'm not even joking. I know you're laughing at me, but like I'm actually being serious.
Let's do this.
Get all these Toronto drag queens to do basically a scavenger hunt in drag. That's so fun.
Oh, I'll do it. Let's do this. Reality Realness. That's an event right there.
Phil, Adam says that they said that their boat only had one engine. Brutal. Wait, so which team was that didn't have the good engine?
I think that was Gary and D'Angelo, so that's probably why they fell behind. Yeah.
Right. And everyone else had two engines. Brutal. And they're heavy. That's a heavy boat too, with both of those guys on it. Willem and Alaska. Oh my God.
That'd be wonderful.
Who else would I love to see running this race? I mean, a lot of the drag queens would be really fun.
Trixie and Katya. That would be good.
That's a good duo. For Amazing Race Canada, maybe even Lemon and Kiara. The two young ones. I think they became friends. I'd love it. I think we need to pitch this. Jonathan, do you want to fund this? It depends on who your partner was. Oh. I mean, I think I would do that with whomever my partner was, because if they were my partner, they would know that was like a mandatory thing, is to have a matching outfit. That's just me. Did anything else happen on this episode that you want to chat about?
Well, one thing that I noticed, I didn't really get a vibe, and who would be the villain of the season? Did anybody stand out?
Michelle.
You think Michelle and Victoria? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Right. It looks as though I feel as though Michelle is very competitive, and Victoria is as well. But Michelle, means more for Michelle, and so I think that there's going to be friction between her and Victoria, and I think that Michelle's competitiveness and wanting to do better than Victoria or well in front of Victoria is going to make her try to cut teams or get in front of them or do something maybe shady to go get ahead. And I can see them also being U-turned because even though at this point they seem like they're a strong team, so I can see teams maybe targeting them for a U-turn or whatever, something like that would maybe put a halt on them, and they would come back kind of vindictive. So I can see them having a lot of kind of drama around their team.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Cool. Well, I am going to be. I've already got 5 questions for our next poll. So this week, I want all of our listeners to give us some answers. About some of them are about this last episode, and then just a little bit of info so we can get to know our listeners a little bit.
Yes, amazing. And look at what Jonathan says. I'll fund it and cast it. Yes, Jonathan, let's totally talk about this because I feel like we could do something fun. Or, do you know what though? Jonathan was talking about something online like this. I don't remember what his concept was, but what if it's drag queens doing a scavenger hunt within their home even? You've done some of those tasks in your games where it's find 4 aces or find... Yeah. So maybe we could figure out something like that we can do while we're still social distancing. That's something that I really missed about the world is that I was working as a flight attendant beforehand, and so the day before everything went lockdown, I was in Costa Rica, and I was about to go ziplining, and we're leaving early. I was oh, okay, great. Going back to Toronto, and I haven't left my house since. So I really loved that there was just the freedom. It was before the virus has taken over the world, and they're just to be able to be free. And so that was something that I really missed about the world that we used to live in, was just the freedom that we had just to travel and not be worried about spreading a dangerous disease. Ew.
Now, have you been to South America ever?
What's in South America? Is Costa Rica? No, that's not considered where?
Costa Rica is, I believe, Latin America or North. It's still part of North America.
And where would Roatan? What's that? Panama.
Panama is just on the tip. It's right before. Yeah, it touches South America.
So then no.
Almost. You've been closer than I have. So there you go. So that's good.
I mean, it's definitely on my list. I always say yes to travel, so I would go in a heartbeat. Yeah. Have I been? Maybe I have been. I just don't remember. There would be places like Honduras and the
Caribbean, right? Caribbean. Latin America, Caribbean. Yeah.
I don't know. You'd have to name places, and I'll be if I've been there or not. I would definitely have to brush up on my geography. I'm almost embarrassed that I don't know better, but I don't know very well geography. Adam says Michelle is definitely getting the villain edit. Yeah. Tila says, don't know if you mentioned this, but we can add a broken down boat to the list of things that can almost derail you from the race, like a bad cab driver. Absolutely. I know there's a lot of luck that in these races, you just happen to get the bad boat or happen to get the bad taxi driver. But I think something like the boat, I don't think that that's their fault. Why wasn't there somebody on the race making sure that those boats were all equally functional, Yeah. Or is that just the luck of the draw? That would you say that, with going to other countries and just be these are the people, these services that they offer, and it just so happens that guy has a bad boat?
Oh, it's completely luck of the draw, and I mean, it's unfortunate it happens. It especially sucks when it's happening to a team that's in the back or something like that. But it's the race. It's part of that's what makes it great.
It's true. Since they've taken away from them like booking their own tickets, I guess this is the only way to shake things up that is random. I love when people can buy their own tickets and like just get ahead of it. I was watching Justin Team Green, remember from a couple seasons ago?
Yeah.
So he was doing he was on a podcast that I listened to, and he was just talking about that if they didn't have those equalizing legs, that he'd probably be like a day or two, they would have been a day or two ahead of some of the other teams. And so we did talk about this as well, but we get why they do it. But I think that it should also be part of the race that if you get a really good flight, you should be able to take it.
Oh yeah, you should be able to take it. I agree with that. I miss the different teams finding different flights, like especially when they find them at the travel agents or halfway through the flight they find something faster, and those kinds of things are nice. So I'd like to see teams break apart, and you're trying to see where they are. I know they want it to be kind of like, well, anybody could win, but I'd like to see the smart teams advance and push ahead if they're allowed to. So
exactly, and I guess if it was always the way that it is right now, then we'd probably be fine with it. But before, it was one of the things that I thought was an element in making a good racer. And I was like, oh, okay, good racers know how to get good flights. They know how, they know the ins and outs of traveling. I was always like rooting for those teams. And so they took that element away, and then everybody just gets bumped into a pack. And so like you might have been better, but like you're the first or the second plane, and then you get a shitty taxi driver and you're out. And it's like, well, yeah. I would have probably been on another plane if you had allowed me to. You know what I mean? So yeah, kind of sad. So what are the new questions? Are you going to share them with me? And I heard that didn't you say you're going to quiz me on things that I know nothing about?
well, so I didn't have anything because we haven't been to Trinidad and Tobago before, so I didn't have anything on that. So, but there'll be stuff throughout the race. Don't worry, I've got things.
And what questions did you have for the people? Yeah. The 5 questions.
Yeah, and you can answer them right now. And so, but don't let this skew you, everybody. Which team were you most surprised to see do well this night?
For me, is definitely Hung and Chi. I was beforehand, I was just kind of not discrediting them, but just thinking that they have been moms or parents for too long, and like they just probably don't know how to work like side by side in this kind of capacity. I thought they would just be very, very fish out of water, so to speak. And so I was very surprised that they worked really well together, that they were methodical. They got out of pretty much all the situations in first. And I think that they are proving me wrong in my original assessment of them. So I think that, before I didn't think that they were a great pick of yours. I think they were your first draft pick, were they not? Third?
My third.
But still pretty high up there. And I was like, I had them, I think 7th, I think was my pick for them, 6th or 7th. And so, yeah, they definitely, I had them 8th out of 11th is where I put them. So, yeah, I was definitely surprised with them. Also, I did want to mention to everybody that the team that went home, Nathan and Cody, I had them as my 11th draft pick. So just had to remind people of that, to let people know. Okay.
Well, I think that they were when we did the draft. I think that they were my last one that I picked of the teams. I believe so, and they were on my team. I'm down one. But I didn't really think that they would win. So, and I'm going to say that for me, the team that I think Michelle and Victoria impressed me the most, because I thought that they would do okay, but I didn't think that they would be in the top. And they did really well this leg. I think that trouble's about to come, but I think that they should be proud of that first leg. Which task of the tasks do you think was the hardest? Of all the things they did.
I would say, I guess the fish one, because it's just so random as to where you would, be dropped off, to where your number and the number of the matching fish was. It was such a large area that they had to cover. And it's the type of thing that you could easily mess up and not be able to catch that you messed up because you're just putting numbers in on a lock. Yes, like, say you are colorblind, you never really knew it, and you mix that up, and then you're putting the lock in and it didn't work or whatever. Like, I just feel like there's so many areas for you to not do well on that one, that I think it would be more difficult than just learning 6 notes on a drum.
Yeah. I don't think that any of the tasks were typically like
they're not
really hard this way.
No.
But for me, I would say maybe the pushing the steel drums might be irritating as a tall person.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that would be bad. Your poor back. Your poor back would be hurting. Yeah, and that would just be like, you'd probably get in a bad mood and just be like, "Oh, stupid drum, like back." Yeah, that part sucked for sure.
Yeah. Third question was, were you shocked that Nathan and Cody were eliminated?
No. I was definitely not shocked. Obviously, I said that I had them last out of all the teams for this race. And, they stated that they were going to be a fish out of water. They never really have seen any parts of other countries. And so I felt that, they might have been great characters and very interesting to see them, like, country folks meets the city slicker. You know what I mean? Like, it just, like, that might have been an interesting story to watch them learn new things and try new things. I just didn't think that the race has enough patience for a team like that to be able to start, getting their sea legs and like starting to get good at the race. I don't think there's time for them to do well. So I wasn't.
I would agree with that until they started doing this is like keep racing thing, and then I got a little shocked at the end because I was like shocked that a team actually got eliminated. But yeah, I'm not surprised they're gone. Like
I agree with you. I was surprised though that they were eliminated because I just thought it was going to be non-elimination leg. Hi, Nick. This race is already finished. You can tell the later seasons are highly edited and rigged. Did you find that it was rigged? Or like highly edited, yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's as much as Phil said that he's going to, this season, they're really going to focus how it used to be. I mean, they're never going to go back to how it was like seasons 1 through 10, where the whole thing seemed like a lot slower paced of a show because they showed you what they wanted to show you. And now it's just all about like race, and any drama, let's amplify it. I don't know about rigged. I feel like I don't see why they would want to get rid of that team necessarily, because I think like they do like to have that we haven't left the country before, and like they like that team usually. So I'm not sure about rigged, but maybe I don't know if he wants to. What you want? What does that mean, rigged?
Yes. Will you please elaborate here? Do you think it's rigged for someone? Do you think is the edit telling you that someone is going to win? That seems obvious to you at this point. And actually, I'll ask you that, Phil. Does it look like it's being edited right now for someone in particular to win?
I will say that probably the winners will have had some sort of confessional that had some sort of meaning behind it. But who that is, I don't know. I felt like they really focused on oh my god, their names, Will and James, and their relationship quite a bit. And Gary and D'Angelo, there's a couple of them that they did focus really on their relationship. But I don't have a 100% for sure who I think's gonna win. I don't know. I didn't feel it. Did you?
No, not really. I did feel though a lot stronger about most of my teams. Like I was like, as I said earlier, I was like, Will and James, like their story, the fact that he auditioned with different partners 9 times, and then like he's finally auditioning or running this race with the love of his life. I thought that was, as you're saying, kind of a good little like soundbite to be able to play later on when they're running to the end. So I thought that they got a pretty good edit in that sense, and I wouldn't be surprised if they won. Because they didn't show them too much. They showed that in the beginning, and then they didn't really show them doing the other tasks that much, especially except Will telling James, I think, to shut up or like to stop about the numbers and the colors. But I didn't feel like it was bad. Like I thought it was just like, I'm concentrating, like leave me alone. Who else? I don't think that Michelle and Victoria got a winner's edit, but I definitely think the villain edit is happening for Michelle. I think that she and Hung, like from how they came out of this, like kind of, they're sort of an underdog and they came out on top here. I can see them being people not believing in them, and then they just keep on proving people wrong, and then at the end they end up being the victors. So I can see them winning. There was one other team that I could see winning. Definitely, I don't think the Olympic athletes are going to win. I don't think that Gary and D'Angelo are going to win. Just that showing with D'Angelo not stepping up and with Gary being so bad at that task. I feel like there's going to be tasks that are similar that they're not going to do well at.
Yeah.
I'm like dancing, like he's going to end up getting the dancing one, and like D'Angelo's going to be like, oh, I should have done that one. And like, yeah, you should have.
Yeah, he has no excuse. He better do the dancing one now.
Who else is there? Is there anybody else that did pretty well? I don't think the sisters are going to, like the blonde sisters are going to do that well. They didn't show them very much, but Leo and what's her name? Alana. I think that they actually weren't showed that much in the episode, but they seem to work well together. And I think that she was kind of being motivating, and you know what I mean? And I just think that, especially since they got married after. So they were only dating for 10 months, meeting on Tinder. And then since this 2 years have gone by for the race, they got married. Now, if
they don't have a meltdown.
They don't have a meltdown, but like, wouldn't you marry somebody if you knew that you just had won $1 million with them?
Well, I don't know. Some people do it for love, but
but you know what I mean, though, is the fact that like I would probably be like, I'm sticking with this guy. We just won $1 million. Yeah. Like, I do think that they do love and care about each other. I'm not saying that they only did it for that reason, but it would make sense if they won the money, that going from a newly dating couple to a married couple would seem to kind of fit along. Like, we're millionaires now, let's get socialize.
Yeah. I want to see them more, because when we talked about it last week, my concern for them was how are they going to socialize with the other teams. So I want to see them in conversations with the other teams, because I worry that they may become outcasts because people may be like, they're too smart, we got to get rid of them. So we'll see. I
don't personally think that any of the teams are that strategic for like within like the games. I think that the people are more concerned with their own team dynamics. So I don't think that that's going to play that much into it from the feel that I'm getting right now. I could be completely wrong, of course, but it seems as though they're going to be fine. I definitely don't see them making good friends really with anyone. I think that they're going to play their own game, but I don't think that they're going to be like polarizing in the sense that they're like too smart and people are not going to want to have them around. I don't think that that's going to be the case. I don't think. I hope not. I like them.
Well, they're on your team, so I'm hoping.
Oh, no. Okay, so what's your guess then for who is going to be out next week?
Ooh, well, I'm gonna stick with the team that I feel probably did the worst this leg for the full leg, and I'm gonna go with Kelly and Levon.
Yeah. I mean, they're bad. They were really bad. They were really bad.
Yeah. They seem quiet too, right? Like there's a team that I felt was very quiet when you saw them at the tasks. Like they talked on the camera, but at the task they were very quiet. So I don't know.
You're pretty right. I don't think that they're going to do that well. Another team that they're on the bottom. I can't see another team doing worse than them. I don't remember the whole preview that well, but I don't know if I saw them doing a lot of tasks in the next previews as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was a preview of the full year, right? So
that's true.
I don't know how much of next week's episode was in there. I don't know. I mean, they're going to. I would assume all the teams are going to be equalized at the airport, and so it's going to be 10 together. But yeah, I don't know. They didn't impress me except for with the goats. So maybe if there's a lot of goat cast in Colombia, then.
Do you know what? Also, I don't know if the sisters have enough drive as well. I can see them just like kudos on them, like just being there to enjoy the experience. But I didn't see the fire that like I want to see in like a top racing team. Like they were fine with not doing the steel drum that well, not quickly. I wanted them to be a little, not hard on themselves, but like have a little more focus, a little bit more concentration, a little bit more like desire to do better faster, as opposed to just be like, oh, I didn't get it. Okay. Like I wanted them to focus more and get the task, nail it sooner. And so I just don't know if they have enough of their own self-governing to be able to stay ahead of the pack. So I think that they might not do well as well.
One of your teams, I was surprised because I had heard that Jerry was going to be a little bit tougher. I didn't get that vibe. I thought that Jerry and Frank got along quite well. I didn't get the vibe that Jerry was being bossy. I don't know if that's to come or what, but maybe that's not true. Maybe they're going to be good.
I mean, I could see that him having that personality, Jerry, but it seemed as though he was being a good partner to his son. So if that was something, I would assume that they talked about how they need to be supported on this race. Like, I feel like all teams would be like, hey, like if I'm, not doing well, like, please encourage me. Don't like, maybe, you know what I mean? Like they had to have these conversations, especially if they're father's son, I would assume. Yeah. That's actually that happened in the race. So I can't remember who it was, but somebody like yelled out to somebody and I was like, shh, they're concentrating. Like, stop. Like, I think it was Levon did it to Kelly. Like, go Kelly. Like, I don't know if it was just cut it in, like the sound bite. And I was like, shh, she's almost got this. Like, don't distract her. Like,
that's mean.
It's true though. So friends in the chat. Oh, you were still going through. How many? We have 2 more left, correct? Questions?
Well, one you already answered was who do you think the villain will be of this season? And then the last one is just a general to get to know our audience. Who is your favorite Amazing Race team of all time?
Well, I mean, the first one that popped in my head, and it's pretty controversial, I would say. Okay. But I am a Boston Rob and Amber stan. You don't like them? No. I loved them.
Not on the race.
I thought that the time when they came in second to Uchenna and Joyce, like, I thought that they deserved to win that particular race. We talked about it before, like them opening up the doors. It's just like unheard of at an airport. Like, when it's closed from 20 minutes ago. Like, you couldn't get on that flight. And I felt as though I thought that they were just good at everything. And like they were a new couple at that time. And so I thought they worked really well together. I really enjoyed watching their love story on Survivor. So I was already a fan of theirs. And so kind of like Janelle, Rob can do no harm for me. And so, some people like, oh, like when he was like not letting them on the bus or off the bus. I can't remember what exactly the scenario was. Like the whole the bus doors thing. Anyways, people were so mad at Rob for whatever he did there. Yeah. I was like, nah, I'll give it to him. It's kind of smart. He's trying to win. So I don't know. I like Boston Rob and Amber. That's my first pick.
No, I think they are a good team. He's very smart. I mean, the first race that he did, he got a whole bunch of teams to be so focused on their team instead of the race, which was really good. And then in the All-Stars, I know that they were in first for the first 3 legs.
They screwed up, though. Philippines!
They screwed.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was yelling at my screen when that was happening. I was like, check the spelling!
Yeah.
Obviously, I wanted them to win. Who's yours?
Oh my God, I have so many. Favorite. I don't know. I like really odd teams. I mean, sorry, go ahead. I like my favorite team probably that I really got behind, and I think a lot of people would be like, this is really an odd team to get behind. I really rooted for Terry and Ian in season 3, the older couple, who everybody thought like Ian was so crotchety and mean and all that. But I was just so proud of them for going so far. Like they had struggled so early in it and they just fought. And everybody at the end of it were like, I hope Terry and Ian win. But that was I love that scene. That was when Flo and Zach won, when Zach basically ran the whole race and carried Flo the whole time.
Whining and crying.
But Flo was wonderful too. Flo was a great character.
Yes. I also liked, what were their names? Am I making it up? Luke and Margot? Like the mom? Margie.
Luke and Margie. Yeah.
I really liked their team. Like I was always on that journey with, oh, I'm gonna cry. Like thinking about like how much he was overcoming and like pushing through and really excelling, and just like the partnership with him and his mom was just like a really nice relationship to see. And so like they definitely always got my heartstrings, and I really wanted them to do well. I believe they were on this race twice, if I'm not mistaken, right?
3 times.
Three? What was the third one?
They were on the second chances for their second time, and then on their third time they were in All-Stars.
Right. Okay. Yes. And they were brought back for the reason like why like I'm emotionally connected to that team. I really, really liked watching them race. And there was another team that I was just thinking of. I forgot. They're kind of famous, but I like Tyler and Corey. I did like what? You don't? No. You got us. You're like,
I did. I did say
this. You went like this, like.
Yeah.
I saw it. I'm gonna rewind it and send you a gif of you being like. I like them. I like both of their personalities. I enjoy watching them. I liked that they did well all the time. I thought they were good racers, and I enjoyed watching them.
Yeah.
Not
we won't get into who your least favorite is. Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, I'll have to do a little bit of research, just at least see some faces. So I'd be like, oh yeah. I'll do a little bit of homework. Okay, fine.
Perfect. All right, so I'm gonna send you the link, and we'll put that out. And we want everybody that was listening to fill out their choices.
Please, and also at the same time, why not subscribe? That would be a fun thing to do. And then every time we go live, you'll be notified. Also, please like this video if you like. Even if you didn't like, it's still engagement, and so it's really great for our analytics. Algorithm, all those YouTube buzzwords that we don't really know what it means, but it seems like it's supposed to help. So please do that. And yeah, Phil, do you have anything going on you want people to, know about?
Nothing this week, but I'm very excited to go over to Colombia next week. So it's gonna be
Me too. And like I've never actually reviewed the Amazing Race, and so me figuring out how to like take notes effectively, like this is also a learning experience as well. Like it's gonna start morphing into its own thing. I feel like we're gonna have like a little games within the games and stuff like that. Like I feel like something's being developed on how this is going to flow, but I'm liking it so far. I think it's still pretty fun.
It's wonderful. Yes. I enjoy talking to you.
I enjoy talking to you too. And all you guys in the chat, thanks for your lovely questions and insights. Please join us next week. We should be here weekly at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk with you live about the Amazing Race. So we have episode 2 coming up next week. Please fill out the survey. I'm going to put it in the description box below. And unless you have something else to say, Phil, we'll say deuces.
We're good.
We're good.